Hello and welcome to episode number 47 of the Developing Dads podcast. 47, Neil. Here we are. We're only a few more weeks away from potentially being close to what is a year. We are entering November. We are officially in winter, which feels a little bit crap, to be honest, because it gets dark at like 4 p.m. Wherever you are in Scotland, it's probably dark by about 1 p.m.
Not quite, but yeah, definitely. The darker nights coming in, the kids finish their dinner, like, can we go to the park? It's like, nope, too dark for the park.
What happens when it's dark outside for the park? They're not got any lights or anything around it?
No, there's no generally, I don't know why, but I think because antisocial behaviour and stuff, they tend not to put lights around parks.
What society are you living in, Neil? You know, up in Scotland, they're all about safety and kids and investment and blah, blah, blah. And Nicola can't even light the nurseries. That's outrageous.
Yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about today?
But to be honest, I have absolutely no idea. We've got some random dad chat ideas. I'm just going to basically riff on my week overall. So, you know, if this is a shorter podcast, it's a shorter podcast today. But it's like we're committed, right? Every week, Neil, we sit down and do our podcast. We have our chat. We do our thing. We go over stuff. Sometimes we moan, sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad. That's kind of it, really. Apart from, actually, I think probably the biggest one, and it's certainly dad-related. Olivia's obviously started nursery, right? So she's gone in 2 days. She's come out with hand, foot, and mouth, hasn't she? Like, I'm sorry, but...
So it begins, Gordon.
But what nonsense, what medieval diseases are these? You know?
Oh, God. Wait till they get a sickness bug. Whew.
I know. It's mad, isn't it? Like, you know, this little thing goes in, there's a bunch of snotty other kids, and some little rascal's giving her hand, foot, and mouth, or who knows what she's got. She's got a cough, and I don't know. Like, she's basically just riddled.
Oh, dear. How is she? Is she
She's
okay?
fine. Yeah, she's fine. She had one night which was terrible, and Laura usually takes charge with that kind of thing. So it was bad. Like, she was getting up every couple of hours because she was coughing and obviously uncomfortable and yada yada. Anything like we would go through, right, when we're ill. And it's just kind of like being one of those kind of parenting weeks of, you know, Laura will get up with her, settle her, and then in the evenings, like in the mornings, I'll get up with her. So it's just kind of like this perpetual motion of both of us being a bit tired because neither of us either get a lie-in or a good night's sleep or whatever else. And Olivia's fine, but she, you know, it's just kind of like, it's just weird, right? You know, these conditions and diseases that aren't adult related, but they're just very specific to kids. They aren't actually harmful. Like, they're just crap. They're just crap little things.
Minging, yeah.
And she's got a snotty nose and all that kind of thing. So we're kind of, I guess that's just, I think the theme of this week, to be honest, because what day is it today? Thursday. The theme of this week is kind of actually just been adulting. You know when adulting just hits you in the face and you go, I don't want to do it, it's too hard, please stop.
What have I signed up for?
Well, I didn't sign up for this. I want a good life. I want an easy life. Yeah. But you've got all sorts on the horizons of mortgage rates rises. You've got kids getting hand, foot, and mouth. You've got, I don't know, running your own thing, and then I don't know. It's just, I sound like I was last week, or I wasn't in a good mood. I don't think I am. But anyway, have you had any observations this week? Anything tickled your fancy?
I feel like I've turned a bit of a corner in terms of my age. Obviously, I'm still the same age, maybe a few years older. But
a corner in what sense?
I was wearing a shirt at work like I normally do, quite a fancy shirt, and What we're talking
when we say a fancy shirt? What are we saying here? Are we going? You've upgraded from Marks and Spencers to like Charles Tiller?
No, just like a formal shirt. So not like your dress down shirts, like a formal shirt, like business kind of consultant attire. And it was getting cold, so I put on my cashmere woolly jumper on top of it. And I looked at the mirror. I walked past the mirror, and I was like, Jesus, that's something my dad would wear. I just felt like I was getting old, like a jumper on top of a shirt.
Isn't that what like cool people do in Shoreditch? They just wear that kind of attire, you know, cashmere jumpers.
Maybe, but I just felt a bit. I don't know. I felt like I'm becoming more middle aged than I thought I was.
Yeah, but it's all about comfort rather than aesthetics, right? That's our job now.
True.
You know, we are merely functioning beings, rather than being something that, we go out in the town and we're like, you know what, I'll undo the second button down, just to lure in some attraction.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm quite happy to walk up to David and Denise's to take Olivia in a pair of socks and my Birkenstocks. Not a problem doing that.
Nice.
Like Laura said to me, she said, "What are you wearing that to the nursery for?" And I was like, "What? It's just a pair of jogging bottoms and a t-shirt." She's like, "You're not gonna like comb your hair or anything?" I was like, "Nah, let's do it."
Yeah.
Hey, nobody cares, right? It's just kind of like what's going to keep you warm and what's going to keep you happy, and that's kind of it, really, Neil.
Yeah, but I just when I don't know, it was a weird moment. I just kind of looked back at myself. It's like, wow.
What other weird moments have you noticed as you get older?
Oh, patience. I don't know if that's a symptom of having kids, but yeah, patience is very, very small, short. Don't have much patience.
It's got shorter. Why hasn't it got longer?
Don't know. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just I realize it more that things take too long, or I don't know.
Isn't that like also a product of like the world we live in now, where have you ever actually like attempted to order something online and it says it will be there in like 2 weeks, and you're like,
buy it.
You're like, yeah, exactly. You're like, what do you mean 2 weeks?
Yeah. I always look at the products on Amazon that are next day. If it's like a few days away.
And you know what? If it's free as well, sometimes you get it like same day by like 10 p.m. or something. You're like, I'll tick that box.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit of a symptom of that is like, I don't know when the last time you bought a sofa from a sofa shop, but normally they take like 12 weeks to come to you. And you find yourself internally going, in what world do we live in that it takes 12 weeks to build a sofa?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like
even now you can buy a car the same day. Like you see advertising, like drive away the same day.
Aye, but not a brand new one.
No, it's got lead time.
I'm saying like custom made, like you've chosen your spec, you've chosen the color and everything. You're never getting that the same day.
No.
But even like I've had a couple of mates buy brand new cars, and I'll be like, "Oh, is your car here yet?" And they're like 6 months down the line, it's still not here.
Yeah.
And I did actually I purchased a new camera today, and that's on pre-order, so that'll come sometime at the end of November. I never really got into like pre-ordering stuff, but I don't actually mind it now. It's not too much of a problem. But it's kind of like, I guess it's more because I look at stuff as more professional. Like it earns me money, right? So the upgrade ultimately helps my life a lot easier, rather than it being like a luxury, I guess. So I've already got a camera that can take pictures and I'll be fine. But this upgrade will just help make it better, right? It'll make everything else better. Well, hopefully it does. Maybe I'm just justifying it myself, but
Anyway, how's your week been?
How's my week been?
Have you been filming much? Have you been home?
Yeah, it's been less filming this week. I've got a job tomorrow. So I've been editing. I did 2 days of editing. Then I had Olivia on Wednesday, and then today was a bit of like editing stuff and a bit of peace and quiet as well. She's at nursery, but then with the nursery thing, she was a bit warm to touch, so they took her temperature. Oh, is this a common thing that happens in nurseries?
Mad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit warm. So she took her temperature, 38 degrees, which is classed as a temperature, right? So she's like, "Can you come and collect her?" Yeah, so I had to go and pick her up. And I said to her, "Oh, is she allowed in tomorrow?" She's like, "No, it's got to be 24 hours clear." I'm like, "So I'm not getting charged then, right?" And they're like, "No, you will get charged." And I'm like, "Hold on a minute. Yeah, they're going to charge us for having a temperature."
Wow.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with her. Like, the doctor says she's fine. I'm gonna have to check these terms and conditions, mate, because I'm wasting 50 quid tomorrow because I can't go to nursery, and Laura's got to work. And anyway, absolute farce. So that's kind of been my week. Like I had a couple of editing days, and then had daddy daycare on Wednesday. Yesterday, it's pretty knackering, isn't it? Like looking after kids. I don't know how. I couldn't do 2 days in a row. I've actually got a bit of a fear coming on, Neil, if I'm honest. Right? Next weekend, I'm entirely responsible for Olivia for two full days. 2 days and 2 nights.
Oh dear. Wow.
I don't think I've done a night with Olivia on my own. I can't think if I've done that yet.
Jeez.
No, I don't. Not like Laura's gone out or something. Like she's gone out to see friends or whatever else. But she's always come home. You know, it would be like, why would Mum be away for like an entire night or 2 days in a row? Like,
Yeah.
you know, we've got friends around here. She doesn't need to go anywhere. She's not allowed to. So,
But next weekend she's
just to clarify, that was a joke. So yeah, she's off to Exeter next weekend to go and see a friend, which is good, which is nice. So yeah, I'm responsible for our daughter for 2 days and 2 nights, which I've already roped one friend into lunch on the Saturday. So basically, I'm just going to hand her over to him for like half an hour, so I can just get a little bit of a breather. So I'm building myself up to that, to be honest. And that's kind of been my week. I think I've just got like a bit of a this is hard, like adulting's hard kind of attitude at the moment, which is, you know, I think we're all inclined to feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, like the news doesn't help when you see the headlines 2-year recession and
It's just
all
doom
that
and
rubbish.
gloom, isn't it? And I think I've also been we've got more bills to pay out on stuff. Like we had the windows done, so now we're getting the render done, and then it's like, oh, should we get a new porch? And then like, how much do you think a new porch costs, Neil? Just have a stab in the dark.
I don't know.
A porch, you know what a porch is, right? I'm sure you do. Covers the steps so you don't get rained on, whatever, right? It's not absolutely necessary. Not a grand, no. Double it and add 200 quid.
Wow, for a wooden frame and a bit of a roof.
Do you know what I mean? Like the tiles on the thing apparently are going to be £600. Like, in what God's name is that 600 quid?
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, it's probably someone in Dunfermline of the 3.5 listeners. One of them's a roof tiler, and he's going, "Nah, it doesn't cost that much. It's just London prices." So we've got that, and then we also have in our bedroom. You've been in the house, so you know what it is like. But in our bedroom, main bedroom at the front, it's got a bay window, which is nice, but we've had a damp issue with that bay window, and we knew it was going to be a repair job that we'd have to get done on it. So now we're just basically paying for a dehumidifier to dry out the brick section in our bedroom. So that's going to be running basically all day, every day for a week. So God knows how much that's costing us in terms of electricity. and then we've got to get obviously the render taken off, and then they apply new bricks to it. Then they put the render on, and it's just more money, Neil. Really.
Wow.
The sad part is that we use Starling bank account, and it gives you like the month-to-month or yearly spend.
Monzo does that. It's horrible.
Oh, you should see. I'll show you mine by the end of the year, Neil. I've never even seen that money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I haven't seen that number in my bank account. It's just gone out slowly but surely over the course of this year. So that's part of my adulting woes. But then it's like, what I've got to take into consideration is two things. One is it's going into the house, right? It's adding value in some respects to the house. I don't know if a porch is, but you know what? I don't know anyone who's ever bought a house and said, "Oh, it doesn't have a porch, so I'm not buying it." So I'm not sure that's adding $2,000 worth of value, but it might anyway. So it's like, yeah, you're spending all this money. It's definitely going, like, the house is definitely gone up in value. It's gone up to the value of what we've spent on it, I hope. And also it's like, well, if money just sits in an ISA or it sits in stocks and shares, or it just sits there, like, what is money? What is it doing for you? And at the end of the day, when we have friends over, when we have family over, when you get to see it, when it's all done, the feeling of just like being in that space now is incredible. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's ours, and we've built it and we've done it and we've customized it. We've done everything we want to do and we haven't held back. And it's amazing, right? It's cracking. By the age of 35, I've managed to buy 2 houses, do have 3 different careers or 3 different businesses, travel the entire world, get married, have a kid, and renovate a house.
Yeah, there's something to be said about like looking back, about looking at your accomplishments and what you've achieved and what you've gone through as well, because that can kind of put things into perspective.
It's good.
Quite enjoyed doing that.
And then that's kind of like my week, really. just that's it. To be honest,
Nice.
you know? Yeah, living the dream, Neil. Living the adult dream.
Yeah, my week. How's that been? Can't remember when we last recorded the podcast, but last weekend I don't think there was. Yeah, I can't remember what we did last weekend. It's a distant memory, but last night is probably the highlight of this week. Probably, I got Dad a whiskey voucher. Our dad a whiskey voucher for his birthday, I think. A whiskey tasting thing. So we did that last night.
That was in June.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
It was like I got like a cash voucher thing, or like a voucher, and we just booked it for yesterday.
All right.
Yesterday, the whiskey rooms in Edinburgh,
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Very good.
which was really nice. Yeah, got to try 4 different whiskies, and then the women talked us through them, and then we went for a curry. So yeah, it was nice.
Just the two of you.
Mum tagged along to the curry, but she didn't come to the whiskey.
Oh. Right,
So-
why can't you just go on your own? Get Mum to look after the kids.
I know. Anyway, but yeah, I guess adult stuff I've done. I've put a mortgage application in, so
Oh, yes.
that's done. Obviously not accepted, but Matt thinks we should hear back within a week. But
This is it.
HSBC actually reduced their rates today.
Nice. I think it's
listen, by a whole 0.01%.
oh my god. It's you know, I like it's totally uncontrollable, right? It's just, it is what it is. I cannot do anything to stop interest rates going up and my mortgage costing me more. There's nothing I can do. Nothing.
But it's the same house, which drives me mad.
Yeah. But
If you pay a bit more for a car, you get a nicer car, but you're living in the same 4 walls.
Well, if you bought the car and you were on interest and it was variable, then the car would be costing you more money, even though it's the same car.
True.
So this is basically what it is, right? It's kind of like you're taking the bet and you're taking the sort of the management of finances, right? And it's pretty much the only thing that bloody schools don't teach you, right? You're sat there learning Pythagoras. When was the last time you used Pythagoras, Neil? Never.
Yeah,
I haven't used
never.
Pythagoras since I was 16, 17.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't you teach me what happens in
trigonometry?
Yeah. Like, who cares? Why couldn't you teach me what mortgage rates are and what's appropriate and how to then work out how much I should be living within and how much should I save in my pension and like stuff like that. Oh, that's one thing actually. I put money in my pension today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just go back to the house thing before we change
All right.
subject.
Sorry.
There was a really good photo from the land registry that basically said the average price of a house in the 1990s was £20,000. Oh no, sorry, £60,000 average house. The average house in 2020 was £240,000. £240,000. And then they looked at salaries. So they compared the 90s salary, which the average was £20,000 for average salary, and then 2000s it was 37,000. So the kind of thing is that like house prices have gone crazy. A typical mortgage used to be 10% of someone's income in 1990. I worked out my mortgage is 38%.
10%.
10% of your take home was a typical mortgage. Like monthly
10%
payment.
of your typical monthly payment, right?
Yeah. So if you took home $3,000, your mortgage would be £300 in 1990. But now it's averaging about 50%.
Yeah, I sometimes a bit skeptical at those, and maybe I'm playing devil's advocate to some extent, but I think there's 2 or 3 different things going on there. First of all, do you know how much the interest rates were in the 1990s?
No.
Like, I think at one stage they were about 14%. So, you know, the ability to get a mortgage and afford a mortgage was quite difficult, which then ultimately impacts the housing market, right? It slows the housing market growth down, where
Yeah, okay.
it's not free. It's not free interest. I think another thing as well is women have more and more have contributed more and more to the economy as decades have gone on. Right? It's very common now to have 2 working parents. That's pretty, like, it's pretty much across the board. Most families probably Again, I'm making some assumptions, but probably have it. So your earning power is better, right? So you've got double that average wage.
Yeah, but so this is taking into consent household income. So household income for 2020 was £37,000 on average.
No way. No, the average household income is £37,000 in the UK.
Apparently.
Average household income. So that includes teenagers that are working. Absolutely nonsense. No way. I'm Googling this right now. Average household income. Household income. Average household income UK. Average household income.
I've triggered Gordon.
You have. The median household disposable income. What does it mean, disposable? Financial years, 2% estimate. 31,000? Wow. Hold on. Median income increased during the 10-year period leading up to financial year. God, this is a riveting podcast, isn't it? Me looking at Google. No. Here we go. Median income of the poorest fifth of the population decreased from a median a different reading of the fifth richest. Oh, well. All right. Could be.
Yeah, so, I mean,
no. Here we go. Median income of the poorest fifth fell a bit. It's like 60 grand. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
It depends. I think it depends. I don't know. I'm an idiot.
I think the medium obviously taken to the whole of the UK. London it might be 60k, but Scotland I doubt it'll be anyone.
But the average salary of an individual is 27,000 or something.
Yeah,
so
but if you've got
so what you're telling me is one person earns 27,000, another person earns £10,000.
Works part time, rest in childcare. Yeah, I don't know. I think 37,000's not that far off.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, the whole thing is like house prices have risen dramatically, but average salaries have not.
I don't think I'm not an expert, but I'm not sure I agree just because of the fact that interest rates were so low, like 14% versus 0.5% is pretty different, and the fact that two working parents now is a very common thing compared to 32 years ago. I think that sure there must be some average thing going on, but then is that taken in consideration when they bought the house? Was there two incomes that they put down on the mortgage thing, but then they had some kids and whatever else, and they've got a 5-year fixed deal or whatever else, or they've lived in the house for 10 years, and now they're surveying people where the mum is now living at home. She doesn't have a job because she's got 2 kids and it's cheaper to look after them than pay £2,000 each per kid to get childcare. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they then took that into consideration. Anyway, I'm playing devil's advocate, I guess, but house prices have gone up, but it's not unaffordable.
Yeah, I think you could argue.
Well, because if you took your household income, Neil, and Rebecca starts working, then it's not going to be 38% of your income. It'll go down to like 20%.
Yeah, okay, I agree. But
so then it's not that far off that 10%. It's maybe double, but it's not that bad.
But I don't know, if I had an average salary, we couldn't afford the house we're living in just now.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say we live in a lavish big house.
Well, I don't know. 5 bedrooms and was it 3 bathrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty lavish.
Okay.
Detached with a driveway.
Now I sound is it upper class?
You've got a bigger house than I do. Even when I combine my houses, you've still got a bigger house than I do.
Yeah. I guess when I meant lavish, I meant like, I don't know what I meant. Bigger garage.
Exactly. Garage. Like, it's kind of that
perspective.
It is like, I mean, down here, you'd be lucky if you can get a 3-bedroom house for 500 grand. But up there, you could buy 2 of them.
Yeah, Matt's reaction when I was on the phone to him, I told him the house I was living in, the price. He's like, what? Yeah. So obviously he deals with London.
Yeah. Like, it's nuts where people down here, and in some respects, some people that I know, they've got 6-figure deposits, Neil. Like a six-figure deposit.
Yeah.
A six-figure deposit. Are you mad? You know, but even then, the crazy thing that goes into it is, you know, I was talking to a chap yesterday, and we were talking about it was a second house purchase or whatever else. The stamp duty, like the second home stamp duty that you have to pay, is 3% over and above, right?
Yeah.
He paid £60,000 in stamp duty. Second stamp duty.
My God.
And that's also that's extra. So that's over and above the stamp duty they would have already paid. Anyway, and that would have been six figures. So it's like just 60 grand because you bought a second house.
Yeah, that's mad.
So, but that's the economics. You know, you think about it is. So yes, you don't think you live in a lavish house. You bloody well do. And you know, to have that kind of space.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at the price of it compared to.
Sure, but if you stuck that, even if you stuck your house in Edinburgh or you stuck it in Aberdeen, it'd be probably worth 100 or 200 grand more, right?
Oh yeah, I mean across the bridge, the similar house builder, you're talking 500,000-600,000.
And I also think that in that market that you're in, you know, I think a price anywhere between about 200 and 500,000 is probably not a bad growth specific position to be in. Because people are still going to mortgage for it. People's wages are going up. You know, they are earning enough and whatnot. So, enough, maybe. But it's kind of like people can afford that type of thing. So it's more competition. So you're more likely to get more off your house. But if you're buying somewhere that's like 900 grand to 1.2 million or so, people are mortgaging really high. So if they lose their jobs, like that's a lot of money to cover, right?
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully in a week or two, I'll have a deal locked in for 6 months, which will make me feel good. It's been on my mind a lot.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, I know I put some more money in my pension because, you know, markets are down. It's probably a good time to start just sticking some stuff in there, right?
Yeah.
So my pension's looking okay, but I probably couldn't survive on it for more than a year at this going rate.
I mean, I've been putting a pension in since I was 19.
Wow. Well, you kind of forced to, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that's the private companies.
I know.
Well, NHS and then private.
Because I only started doing a pension when I was maybe 27, 28. So it's not been going long, but I've been kind of putting quite big lump sums. Like I put a big lump sum in last year. I do quite a bit this year. But I could probably do a bit more if I probably should do a bit more, but it's kind of about that balance.
Kind of, as a self-employed person, do you get any? It's obviously my employer matches mine.
Technically, I'm not self-employed. I am employed by my limited company. So there's two things that I can do is either make a personal pension contribution, which obviously saves me the tax, right? So I get tax back on that. But the other thing I can do is it comes off my corporation tax. So it basically just reduces my profit. So then I save 20% on that.
Go on. Makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not a bad way to do it. Like it's all right. And it's also and then I can do an employee contribution, which would be me, personal pension, which is like I get 25% back or something. I don't know. It's an efficient way to do it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And then
so
that's
my week.
kind of. That sounds like a riveting week for both of us, really. I don't even know I reckon we're probably down to half a listener by this time after we talked about the housing market and our adulting and all that stuff.
Taxes. One thing I wanted to explore, and I don't know, I can talk through it and then you can have some advice or whatever, but it's bloody hard having multiple children because one of them will just wind up the other one just because they can, and it's the most infuriating thing I've just started realizing. Like the boys are getting to the age now where they'll annoy each other, but then they'll also annoy Isla, and Isla will flip out, and then Ben will flip out because Lewis is annoying Isla, and it's just like a vicious circle. And I remember being younger and like me and you used to fight and stuff, but I just don't know, like, how do you resolve it? Like, there's just always going to be that Lewis wants to pull Isla's hair or knock her bowl over, or it's just annoying. And
he's got to lay down the law, Neil. You know, you got to get a cupboard, right? Put him in it, and then lock the door.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I don't know. I've never really thought. I haven't thought about it yet on what that's going to look like. but it's just I don't know. I think there's a development aspect, isn't there? Because they're kind of like at that age, it's all about like developing oneself and identity and what can I get away with and what can't I get away with, and like all this kind of weird behavioral stuff that goes on. I don't know. Like, do you feel like you have to be a bit more authoritarian and kind of like laying the laws of the land and being like, I'm in charge here? Or are you trying to take the, you shouldn't pull Isla's hair because, it makes her feel bad, and, do you know what I mean? Like, at what point do you turn around and go, sit down, do not touch Isla, or you're going in the cupboard?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't quite got to the cupboard point yet, or the wooden spoon. But yeah, it makes you kind of look back and think like you realise why parents got the wooden spoon out, or why there was, in schools years ago, obviously there was the cane and the whip, whatever it was. But you kind of understand that when you've got multiple kids, because no matter how, if you go to their eye level and talk to them nicely, or no matter what parenting hack you try and do, they'll just wiggle themselves out of it. And it's just like, I'd say 80% of the time, maybe 90%, they respect us, and like that feels good. But there's that 10% of like they just try and push every little button they can get away with, and it's just.
But that, I think boys to some extent, I assume, are kind of trying to like test out the waters, right, of where they sit on a hierarchy. Maybe, who knows? So I guess that's kind of what they're perhaps trying to do. So I like, honestly, I don't know. Like I think we, especially me, sit in this kind of like limbo land of the kind of liberal idea of let's all just talk to each other and tell each other our feelings, and it'll all just be okay. We'll work it out. When you've got like these kind of like management things, let's have an issues list, and then we talk about the issues list and we go through it, right? But sometimes you just need a leader who says, do this, don't do that, right? So we come from that era of like I'm from the 80s, right, where getting smacked was still legal, right?
Yeah.
You were a little shitbag, you got a clip around the ear, right? Or you didn't eat, something like that. But imagine that. Imagine telling another parent now that you didn't feed your kid because they were naughty. And you'd get straight in social services.
Yeah, but like Ben and Lewis can obviously talk to the nursery teachers, and if the nursery teachers have any inkling of any kind of abuse or any kind of hitting, God.
It is illegal now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
It's not illegal in England. Take him down here and just give him a clip and then send him back up again. But there is, I get it. There's kind of there's a certain point where I feel like I will attempt the first, proper things where I take the first non-violent, I guess, tactic, or the less corporal punishment tactic, where I would be like, look, this is not appropriate behavior. Here's why. This is how you make someone else feel. Yada yada. You have a chance to rectify it. I then go through the second chance, and then after that, mate, no holds barred. Like, yeah. Because I think Laura knew it. I talked about her about it. We knew it. When Dad got involved, right? When we were getting in trouble, when Dad was involved, or Laura's dad was involved, you knew you were in trouble, and there was fear. There was a bit of scared, because until you're like 15, 16, 17, you ain't stronger than your own dad. He's gonna take you out if you don't behave, right?
I need to go back to the 80s, Gordon.
But maybe that's part of it, Neil. Like, maybe you can read all the books you like, but I can tell you right now, if someone's scared of you, they ain't doing it.
Yeah.
No,
there's definitely
must be a bunch of parents on here going, Gordon, you can't do that. That's not appropriate. Stop.
A bunch, Gordon. We've only got one listener by now. But there's definitely like, I feel they listen to me more. Like I feel like I have more authority over them than Rebecca does. I don't know why that is. Maybe because
I think
male and
what's his name? Jordan Peterson's talked about it before, is that the role of the father is to pull the child away from the comforting bosom of the mother. I think the way he describes it, and anybody can stand corrected if I'm right or wrong, I don't know. But it's about, the kid comes down from stairs and says to mum, "Oh, I've got a sore tummy, I don't want to go to school." If mum, brings in the child, gives them a hug, goes, "It's okay, you don't have to go to school, don't worry about it, you just go back to bed." What is that telling the child? What is that giving them an opportunity to do? Is that, life, like, I don't have to go outside into the big bad world and do it myself and fight for it myself or whatever else. But to some extent, the masculine aspect or the male aspect that involved in, say, some relationships or whatever, is then likely to be like, "Nah, mate, you're fine. Get off to school." It's like Olivia. She's got a bit of a temperature. Nah, she's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with her. Off she goes, right? And she'll be off in a nice nursery where if anything does go wrong, they'll phone us. Or they'll take appropriate action, right? Yeah. Things like that, where you've got that vision. You know that if the kid comes in, he's got a bit of a tummy and they throw up at school, you're going to be like, "Okay, I'll come and pick you up now," right? There's something wrong. There's part of that. So I think as a man, I think you carry the threat of violence to some extent. That's part of it. Is you're strong, you're large, you're also commanding. And I think that's fundamentally part of it. Like, they can't throw you around. They can't, you're the dominant one. You're the one that tells them what to do. So I don't know. I guess it's just, I get to me, and where I think I'll take it is I'll take the route first, where it's a case of, hey, let's have a conversation about it. Let's try and reason. Let's do the right thing. But I think there does come a certain point where you're like, "I'm sorry, but now we're going to get serious."
You pushed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're getting serious, and you have to realize that this is now beyond reason, and that's it. And I don't know how Laura would think about that, but or what the listeners think. But I think there's a certain point where you've just got to you lay the land. Like, this is not a democracy. I'm in charge.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
I hope so.
It's hard in reality.
Oh, of course. I have no doubt, Neil, and I'm not speaking for someone who has experience. And whatever parents do and how they want to command it and do it, that's it. And I think I'm just talking from what I think I'll do and how I'll do it. It will be probably a direction at the end of it being like having loud voices and ensuring that they understand that I'm not happy about this. This is not appropriate. And I hope Laura backs me up on that, but we'll see. See what happens.
Yeah. There's that thing though where like I think about it sometimes in terms of, are other households like this? Like, for example, an hour before bed, it's a bit chaotic. We're trying to get the baths on. Everything's mad. I'm like, is this just us, or is this everybody, or is this, you know what I mean? Like, it's just hard.
Why does that matter to you? Why does it matter what everyone? Because you want to feel normal. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think I just want to feel like it's okay.
But that's up to you. It's not. Yeah. It's not like what is okay. If you're not in the two extremes of they're basically being sedated to get them in the bath, or in a state of absolute chaos where one of them's got a black eye, these kind of things. Like, but that's what I'm getting at, right? That normal is it swings from left to right. That it can be so different for so many different, like. How many people can you compare? You've got twins that are younger than their older sister. Like, that's also probably not very common. I don't know. Like, I understand that. Is this normal? Is this okay? Blah blah blah. But I don't know. If you don't think it's okay, do something about it. If you think it's okay, then just let it happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, whether someone else does it or doesn't do it, I don't know. As long as it's not killing each other, you're right.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know about you, but have you been watching the Elon Musk documentary? Or have you watched it?
On Netflix or
BBC?
Yeah.
Mental. That man is mental.
Absolutely. I mean,
and the people that work for him are mental.
One now. There's Netflix one now.
It's just like, I was talking about it yesterday when I was out for dinner with a friend, and we were talking about like risk and how I'm like, I just couldn't do that because it's so risky. But then his point was, and something that I thought about when I was watching it, is just these people don't see risk like we do. Like they have so much self-belief, and in their head they're like, this isn't even a risk. Like it's the right thing to do.
Like he sold one company and ploughed every penny he had
200 million
into another one.
And he had one rocket left.
Yeah, now he's bought Twitter and he's on a bit of a
Yeah, but I think that was a mistake because there was something I think in American law or something where if you make public a statement of like I'm going to buy you or whatever else, then you basically screw up the company and you screw up like the stock and price and all sorts of stuff. So his tweet cost him $44 billion.
Yeah.
And he's had to take like $12.9 billion worth of loans to fund the deal, which has to be carried by Twitter, and just to fund the loans will be $1 billion a year.
Wow. I mean, he's looking at making a premium Twitter thing $8 a month.
Yeah, he has to because he has to cover the debt.
But it's just like, just what a guy.
It's kind of, I don't know. I'm just when you have a valuation of over $100 billion. When is enough?
Yeah.
Like when and if nothing is ever enough, then are you ever happy? Are you happy? And it's just it's amazing just to think that he's in that position, and then also inspires people to join his company. He got the marketing guy that launched Apple stores to come out of retirement and work for Tesla, and then this guy he's quite old, certainly in his late 50s, maybe 60s, and he's like crying on television.
Yeah,
because the 4 weeks or a month or a quarter, 4 months or something of a quarter, he was under so much pressure to deliver these cars that he was just like, this was the hardest thing in my entire life. And this is a guy who retired from Apple to go work for Tesla. And you're like, that's insane. Like, imagine being able to create that culture where people are willing to do that. Like, almost kill themselves for your dream. Yeah. It's amazing. So I find the documentary just pretty incredible because the guy's just, he's an absolute mutant when it comes to just self-belief and risk-taking and calculation and just like how do you do that?
Well, one thing I was surprised at. It was his first wife. Was on the first episode of that BBC documentary, and she had everything was positive about it. Although he worked a lot and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Like he seemed to. I don't know. You kind of think of these big, massive.
You're looking for a flaw. You're looking for a flaw, right?
Yeah,
you're looking for them to be like actually human. Oh, he's squeezed a bum by what a silly boy, or he's like, I don't know, got a coke addiction, or he's got an alcohol problem, or whatever else. But nah, he seems pretty squeaky clean.
Yeah, like the people getting interviewed, like I had quite a lot of respect for him, and there's nothing but nice things to say about him. Although he's a workaholic and his work ethic's a bit weird and his demands are a bit weird. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have a lot of time for him. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. It just seemed pretty nuts, to be honest. Like, how the hell do you do that? And there he is, I wonder who the next person's going to be. And, Mark Zuckerberg. See his decline. I think it's the start of it. Could be. I mean, they're talking about the Meta thing, though, aren't they? With the whole VR, AR sort of headset. Yeah, but have you seen Facebook stocks? Yeah, it's down like 60% or something, isn't it? Yeah, mad. And they've had to pull out of. I don't know if it is. They pulled out of they were building a massive data center somewhere in America, like huge. They pulled out of it. Oh, like hundreds of millions of pounds. It's not a bad time to buy it, though, is it? I don't know. I'm just looking at it just now. I mean, it's down $88. Well, yeah, it's down a bit more today, 1.8%. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's such a massive platform, though. Like, how
You imagine what it's worth.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. The amount of data and... Yeah, I mean, $88 isn't that bad. When it was up in August last year, it was up at 370.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got a lot of room to move, right?
Yeah. It's the lowest it's been in 5 years.
There you go. See?
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. Stock tip from the Greenhorn, the Developing Dads podcast.
All my spare cash is going to a mortgage, Gordon.
Oh, don't get me started, Neil. My spare cash is going to a porch. Do you know what I mean? Then we got to get the driveway done, and then we got, oh my God, we've got to pay the council as well, £1,330 to drop the curb. I'm not even going to eat this Christmas. I'm not going on holiday for the next 10 years. I don't think. I'm just going to holiday out in my garden.
Yeah, just buy a nice sun lounger.
I don't know. It's just, I've always kind of wondered when the carpet will be pulled from under my feet, I guess. And, it's not that that's going to happen. It's just adulting. Again, go back to my start. My point was I'm just having one of those weeks where I'm just like, this is adulting, right? It's a certain point where you hit a bit of a threshold and you've just got to you've got to coast it. You got to run with it, right? You just got to do your thing.
And the darker nights aren't helping. The shitty weather.
Probably not dark, shitty weather. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And I think, there's all sorts of things going on. Like Laura's been made redundant, but then she's working on sort of getting a new job and all that kind of thing. So we just got to work it out, Neil. Just see what happens. You know what I mean? Nursery, 38 temperature, so sends her home. Great. Can't go to nursery tomorrow, but still charges me.
See if they have, the worst thing I find is, and this is a bit I won't be too graphic, but if the boys have runny poos, or Isla has runny poos in nursery, get sent home, because it could be diarrhea.
And they still charge you, don't they?
Well, yeah, the boys have never been in charged childcare. They've always been free. But with Isla.
I can't wait for that day, Neil.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a few years. I think it's like 3.5 they get free childcare. Exactly.
I've got a while. Well, you talk about like second babies and all that kind of thing, right? You have that chat, and maybe that'll be the timing. I'll be like, right, childcare's free. Off you go. Right, let's get the next one in.
That's kind of what we did, but then we had twins, and there's no chance we're getting childcare for the boys.
No, that'd be about £74,000 a year.
£100 a day. Wow.
Oh God. Wow. Anyway, I think that'll do for me today. It's been a lovely podcast. I can't imagine we've got to the point where we've got anybody listening right now. But we have, to be fair though, the podcast has had some good numbers recently. Like we've been over 30 to 40 downloads per episode. So it's not terrible, I don't think. I think pretty consistent. But any other wisdom and knowledge to pass on to the 0 listeners at this stage?
None.
Oh.
Not waste my breath.
All right. So you're not going to be buying Meta stock anytime soon then?
No.
Oh,
I want to pay off my mortgage.
You don't have to pay off your mortgage, Neil. That's a silly idea.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure you can pay it. That's the only difference. You don't pay it off. You just got to be able to pay it. All right, then, Neil. Until next week.
Cheers.
See you later.